So before we get into the video, I just want to say please hit the video with a like and share this video because this is a very serious topic and I feel that awareness needs to be brought to the situation because this is a very serious thing and I think that this needs to be brought up. I think that this is something that needs to be talked about. So, 2019 has not been Rooster Teeth's year at all whatsoever. It seems the more and more things that have happened ever since January, with Vic being fired, just more and more things have come out. And, another big issue, yet again, has occurred, this time with the vice president of Rooster Teeth being arrested over allegations of him brutally abusing his wife. Now, we're going to get into this article, but before we get in this article, I just want to bring up some of the things that have happened this year to keep everyone up to date. So, with everything that's happened with Rooster Teeth, taking a look back at January, Vic was fired, the voice actor, over allegations with no evidence whatsoever of terrible misconduct, which, of course, he never did do, but because they wanted him out of the industry, they fired him. They got him out. Well, you think that was the worst thing that happened? Oh no, it got far worse in the year 2019 so far for Rooster Teeth. When you look at what happened next, was of course Genlock failed, losing them millions of dollars, putting them in a bad financial rut. Then of course, after that, in March, which was not recorded, there were layoffs. And then, yet again, after that, because within May, Gray Haddock had been fired. Of course, an official statement by him was not released until September. And of course, there was the Barbara Dunkelman issue whenever she came out and tried to state that if you don't like it, don't watch it, which was not good in terms of their shows. So, and then of course, what happens with her? Later on, Game of Thrones ends and she complains about it, showing her hypocritical ways yet again. Of course, then we go on to the animator issue, one of the biggest problems, which the animators had been being abused for years. Of course, crunch time was also terrible for them not being paid for even the majority of their work. This is not even including overtime, which they weren't even paid for overtime, only having a third of the work that they did even being paid for. So most of the work that they did was basically for free. And just being in terrible situations where they work, just bad work conditions. And then, of course, more layoffs occur in September. And at that time, Matt Holm, who was demoted, tried to come up with a way of saying, oh no, this was not bad for the company, this was a good thing, when in reality, he was just making a transparent lie to everybody, trying to state that he was instead stepping down purposely. He was demoted, Bertie Burns was demoted, and an executive from Warner Media, who owns Otter Media, who owns Rooster Teeth, has come in to be the president. And so there's that, the bots that are going around claiming smaller YouTubers that are trying to talk about Ruby content or anything like that, that's Rooster Teeth content. These bots are not even Rooster Teeth, they are somebody else that is claiming to be Rooster Teeth and just claiming people's videos and giving them strikes. And of course, Rooster Teeth doesn't say anything about it, they don't give a notice or anything. So that's another issue. And now here we are, yet again, after all these issues, another one surfaces. And, of course, let's be real on something for just a quick second. This person's actions, the vice president, it is his actions, it is not Rooster Teeth's actions, but it doesn't make the company look any better. And I'm going to get to why that is, but first let's take a look at the article. Rooster Teeth VP arrested after wife alleges brutal abuse and strangulation. Austin, which is Kazan, this is the article that it's by, it's Kazan, in an arrest warrant, the wife of a vice president at Austin-based company Rooster Teeth alleges that her husband brutally attacked her on November 8th and that the attack was part of a pattern of years of abuse. Now, mind you, this is hearsay, so of course this will still have to go through court, but it seems like there is a lot of evidence behind this that really proves that this might actually be true. I mean, of course, there are two sides to this story, as there is with every story. But this is actually something very important to listen to. So let's continue with the article. The warrant states that the Travis County Sheriff's Office believes that Michael Jonathan Quinn, age 39, committed family violence through aggravated assault, a second-degree felony. This document was filed on November 13th, and Quinn was arrested on November 18th. Now, something to point out here. Isn't it strange that this was 3 days ago, and yet Rooster Teeth hasn't said a word? But when it came to the Vic situation, they immediately addressed it and fired him. Now, isn't that strange? Let's continue. The form details Quinn's wife's account of the incident that led her to speak up to law enforcement. Quinn's wife said that in the form that he works at Rooster Teeth Productions as the Vice President of Product and Engineering. A LinkedIn account also lists a Michael Quinn in Austin as the Vice President of Product and Engineering, stating that Quinn has served in that role for 3 years and 9 months. So it seems that Quinn has been the Vice President for quite some time. 3 years is a good amount of time. It's pretty decent. So that's interesting to know. So going further with this, Kazan has reached out to Rooster Teeth for comment on this arrest and is awaiting a response. A Texas Department of Public Safety search did not show any prior criminal background for Quinn in the state of Texas. The allegations of assault and abuse. A detective with the Travis County Sheriff's Office explained in court records that law enforcement first got involved when a woman walked into the Westlake Police Department reporting that she had been violently wronged by her husband in her home. The police called EMS and she was taken to the hospital. Sheriff's deputies who met her at the hospital described her as visibly shaken up and unsure if she wanted to go through with giving a statement because she knows her husband is going to end her and her daughter. Man, that statement alone. Oh, that statement's awful. I mean, threatening not just her but her daughter. That's no, that's something you don't do. But it gets worse because this is where they start to talk about the evidence. So let's continue down with this article. The deputies reported that she had bruising, inflammation, and pain all over her body. She told the deputies that she had been assaulted by her husband for several years, including prior strangulations, and that she had never reported the prior assaults. The deputy said that she told them her husband has control over her finances and where she goes. And that's the big thing about abuse, is that abusive relationships, the smaller person in the relationship tends to try to take control of the other person. They will do whatever they can, mentally, physically harm them. They will try to control where they go, monitor them at all times. And, it's just a very horrible situation, and it's all about control and fear. And it's a very horrible situation for anybody to find themselves in, and something that nobody should have to go through. Abuse is just horrible. It's so terrible. On November 8th, she told the deputies that she came home from work to find her husband at home after a night of partying. She said he began verbally berating her, then punching her despite her cries for him to stop. She recalled her husband laughing at her as she cowered in pain. She said her husband pointed an object at her head, but soon after told her, "If I'm going to end you, I'm going to use my hands." Dear God. That is awful. Wow. Quinn's wife recalled trying to run away, but he crushed her hand in the door as she attempted to exit. She reported that her husband continued punching her and hit her in the head with a 3-hole punch. Oh, wow. Wow, that's awful. Eventually, she said her husband strangled her until she lost consciousness. She recalls when she came to, her husband bit her and pushed her to the ground, talking to her more about how he's going to end her. The sad thing is that in abusive relationships, a lot of times this is what one person will do to the other to try to keep control of them. They will say these things and do these terrible things, and it's just horrible. It's horrendous. It's just some of the worst things ever. It really is. It was a death grip. I thought I was going to die. she told the deputies. After a while, she said her husband grew exhausted and eventually walked away. Quinn's wife said she immediately went to report the assault. I will give her props. A lot of people today, you will see them go on and say things like, oh, hey, look, I put it on Twitter and this happened to me, but then there's no police report ever. They just try to go through cancel culture to get rid of the people they don't like or to just destroy someone's career. And this woman, though, the one thing she did right that I definitely have to say right here is she went to the authorities about this and she filed a police report on this. I think she definitely did the right thing by going to the police and getting a police report on this. This was the right move to make. I agree with her on this one. Definitely agree with that move because that's how this should be handled rather than people just jumping to Twitter and trying to just cancel people with no police report, no evidence of it. This is the way to do it. I agree with her entirely here. A police report for either a man or woman in this scenario. This is the way you handle it. This is how you do it. So, where the case stands. Court records show that an emergency protective order was issued barring Quinn from contacting or going near his wife and several other people. Quinn has also been barred from possessing a object. On the night of November 18th, online records showed that Quinn had been arrested and booked into the Travis County Jail with a bond set at $100,000. Wow, that is huge. That is huge right there. The Travis County Sheriff's Office explained that he was released on a personal recognizance bond on November 20th. TCSO said the detective is not willing to publicize any details of his active investigation at this time. But here's the thing I want to bring up about this situation. This has happened 3 days ago. No statement at all has been released from Rooster Teeth in regards to this. Now, isn't that odd? The person who is paying their voice actors, right? They don't say a word. Comes to the Vic situation of allegations against Vic months ago back in January, they say things. But when it comes to the vice president who gives them their paychecks, they don't say a word. There is no statements by Rooster Teeth at this time as the recording of this video. There is nothing on their Twitter even. There's nothing out at the time of this recording. Now, isn't that odd? There's nothing from Monica Rial either. There's nothing from Jamie Markey either. There's nothing from Chris Sabat either. There's nothing from any of the voice actors in association to Rooster Teeth or that are associated to those associated with Rooster Teeth that went after Vic, for example. Very strange. So, let me get this straight. A woman, allegedly, gets abused, and yet, what happens? Oh, they don't say a word about it. But it comes down to somebody like Vic that they don't like, then they try to just throw him under the bus and get him fired. Seems a bit hypocritical to me, if you had asked me. It seems more like it was just a movement on Rooster Teeth's behalf to just get rid of somebody they didn't like. It's what this sounds like to me. And, of course, as more things come out on this, I will cover it, obviously. 2019 has not been Rooster Teeth's year, and when you think that Rooster Teeth could not fall any further, when you think that they have dug to rock bottom and they are in a hole they just can't get themselves out of, oh, don't worry. They find a way to dig a deeper hole. And by not saying anything about this within 3 days already, that doesn't make it look any better for them. But hey, I'm sure after all the videos that are being made on this situation, I am very sure that the super soy progressive woke Rooster Teeth is going to come up with a response to this. But it's still strange. Have you noticed? This vice president, he hasn't been fired. Now, isn't that odd? But the allegations against Vic, he was fired right away. Seems that they don't want to get rid of their handler, the person that pays them and gives them their money. Isn't that a bit strange, huh? Bit odd, if you had to ask me. But we'll see when he comes back. We'll see if he still has a job or not. See how that goes. But this is an issue I felt that needed to be addressed. It needed to be talked about. And share this video and let's get it out there because this is something that needs to have awareness brought to it. And any other person that talks about this video as well, share their videos. If you have channels, make a video on this. Bring awareness to the situation. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.